Oh boy, seems I haven't talked movies in a while. Don't worry, James Bond, my man, I'll go back to this retrospective in the future, trust me. Because today I'm talking action movies, more specifically the martial arts subgenre, which is one that I highly enjoy. From classics such as Enter the Dragon to more recent ones, a good fight movie, as it were, is often a good time. The movies I chose to talk about today I would describe as good vibes because of a good setting, characters, a nice story, not just the action. It may sound contradictory, a movie being good vibe taking some subject matters into account, but hey, that's how I decided to describe them. And this is a vast world, right? If there's anyone out there who finds these movies trash, lame, boring, or poorly acted, well, that's fine. Agree to disagree. You might just be lacking in testosterone, but I bet you can find some supplements online.
Got him!
Hey, relax, it's just a joke, don't take it too hard. Oh, by the way folks, there will be spoilers, so if you wanna try these movies and come back later, I'll stay here warming your seat. You ready? Now square up, put your game face on, and let's get rolling. Let us begin with Undisputed III Redemption. I'll start by saying I've always found impressive how Scott Adkins is that tall, built like a brick wall, and manages to be extremely acrobatic. I used to think he should get a role in the MCU as one of the more hand-to-hand oriented superheroes, until he was cast as random cannon fodder enemy number 200 in Doctor Strange. Shame. Well, no more shameful than the MCU in its current state. But
No matter.
he was the fat German guy in John Wick 4, a movie which in itself is way better than the MCU in its current state. Going back to the movie in question, the first Undisputed movie is one starring Ving Rhames and Wesley Snipes. The second one, interestingly enough, Michael Jai White is the protagonist and Scott Adkins as Yuri Boyka is actually the bad guy, who is ultimately defeated. Undisputed 3 is aptly subtitled Redemption because now Boyka, former main bad, is the star of the show. I've watched this movie a couple of times and I've always got the feeling that Boyka is pretty much Russian Ryu. No kidding! He lives to fight, that's what he knows, that's what he wants to do, and he's very good at it. Similar to Ryu, who is the embodiment of the fighting spirit, one who doesn't have ulterior motives, whose main enjoyment is to move forward, yearning for the next challenge. A pure fighter. It works perfectly for the protagonist of a fighting game, and I think the comparison between Boyka and Ryu is a valid one. Boyka is down in the dumps after his defeat in Undisputed 2. He wants to fight despite his broken knee, and in the eyes of his former manager that's impossible or more likely a death wish. Boyka proves him wrong by defeating Wolf from Virtua Fighter and makes his way to another prison to be welcomed into the PSC, whose ultimate prize is freedom, the first ever international prison tournament.
Welcome, gentlemen. And you.
In the first matchups you get to see different fighting styles such as capoeira, taekwondo, boxing, and I assume the French contestant fights savate. Because why not? It would only make sense for him to use the French kickboxing. Fighting your way to freedom is well and good, but there's the catch. The losers are simply executed by prison guards. Moreover, the warden has the fighters doing hard labor so they won't stand a chance against the souped-up, steroid-infused Colombian who they're batting on. Hey, if you watched John Wick 4, you know this guy. The movie has great fight sequences, but the highlight for me is of course Boyka and Turbo. They start as rivals, then become frenemies.
See me move, you move with me. I ain't ginger, I just say your ass ain't for the stick.
And later the thing evolves into a full-blown bromance at the end.
My man.
Ooh, almost forgot. You and me, we got some unfinished business.
I'll fight
You bet your ass.
next time.
It's the most endearing aspect in a badass movie about a fighting tournament for prisoners. Just wish they could settle their pending match to find out who's best. But that's fine. At the end, Boyka turns the Colombian into Dhalsim, is saved from being executed by our boy Turbo, takes the prize money, and more importantly, his freedom. Of course, instead of going by car, he declines the ride and walks away, just like Ryu would do. Told you, Russian Ryu, fellas. Now let's move on to Blood and Bone, featuring Spawn himself, Michael Jai White, just with a lot more makeup. Michael Jai White? More like Michael Jai non-stop ass kickery. Seriously, the action department leaves nothing to be desired. Mr. Jai White is a fine martial artist and he shows some nifty moves throughout the movie. He plays a lone wolf type character called Bone. You know why?
Because that's what he be breaking when he hit.
One of the highlights of the film is the character of Pinball. He's Bone's manager and simply put, the dude is just funny and does some awesome pre-fight announcements.
Ladies and gentlemen,
African Americans.
damn bitches, the raging redneck. This motherfucker right here is so raw, he eats steaks directly off live bulls' asses. The homicidal, homosexual. Alright, motherfuckers and motherfuckers, coming straight from Skull Island. Y'all might know him from his numerous appearances atop the Empire State Building, swatting down airplanes and shit. The primate from another climate. The Hammer Man!
The movie also revolves around underground fights, you know, like a Fight Club. I can't say anything about that. Forget you heard about that. Speaking of not saying much, guys, the movie has a lot of funny put-downs.
Get off my block before I call the police on your asses again.
F you, you old Fred Sanford looking ass. F you, you gray-haired grandpa Moses looking mother.
You Metamucil drinking ass motherfucker.
But also profanity, so I might need to please my overlords and take it easy on that front. You just can't take it easy in jail, which is something Bone knows all about when he's interrupted by some inmates who just can't allow a fella to piss in peace. Thankfully, he gets a heads up from his buddy before getting the shank treatment. Outside of jail, he rents a room and hey! I know her, she is that wife from that guy in Matrix Reloaded. Her character is a good, respectable woman who only wants the best for those around her.
Well, I'll do what I have to do to stop them from being killers, thugs, hoes, street fighters.
She's not the only familiar face. That's Jenna Carano right there. She really came a long way in her acting skills.
Call me.
Bone then enters his first street fighting circuit, where he meets Pinball and whacks his first opponent. Man, these pre-smartphone phones are so cool. He also meets our main bad guy, James, who's an interesting character. Despite being bad to the bone, he has a sense of dignity and honor, a true gentleman. Of the murderous kind, however. Throughout the movie, get used to Bone ogling at James's woman, cause that's gonna happen a lot. As the movie progresses, Bone and Pinball move up on the underground fighting circuit, and that's reflected in the places they fight in Pinball's clothing. This aspect feels like a video game, as in the character progresses and so does the setting and opponents. Additionally, Pinball as the comic relief is a nice contrast to Bone's more serious demeanor. Bone might not show that much, but they definitely develop a friendship. By the way, have you ever said to your friend, homie, no homo, but I love you?
And it's all because of you, B. So what I'm trying to say is, I love you, B. But, no, I mean, I don't mean that in a homosexual, like I'm trying to get with you kind of way. I mean that in like a motherfucker who now got a ride to match his rims kind of way. You know what I'm saying? That's love. Damn, that was $20 and shit.
As they continue to rank up, Bone is gonna whack James's champion and earn his attention. Dude is ambitious, so he wants Bone to fight for him on the big leagues of criminal underground fighting.
You know, invincibility lies in defense.
The possibility of victory in the attack.
Ha! These guys know their Sun Tzu lore. James can't simply earn Bone's trust by showing his toys and quoting historical figures, so he decides to swallow his pride and use the ultimate technique. Win him by offering the company of his lady. And here's the kicker. Since the beginning, you're led to believe Bone wants to bone the bad guy's wife, but he actually wants to make good on a promise he made to Danny, his friend in prison.
Is this the woman that Danny cried over and begged me to look after as he was dying?
Bone's mission since the beginning is to get her out of that drugged stupor and reunite her with her son.
So let's get you cleaned up and go get your son.
So that's what this whole thing's about, huh? You're my white knight here to save me from the tower.
Well, I don't know about white knight.
Not all is simple, however, because James forces him to fight Kamen Rider himself, who's supposedly the top fighter, but that doesn't matter. You know what's gonna happen, right? Bone will kick his ass and throw the towel. The real final boss actually here is James, who's trying to be Alpha Samurai, but he'll be better off cosplaying Captain Hook. After mother and son are finally reunited and his promise fulfilled, Bone grabs his bag and sets off for another adventure, walking on the widest street I've ever seen. And that's all she wrote. So these are Undisputed III, Redemption, and Blood and Bone. Two movies I find quite enjoyable and very endearing in some aspects. Just like in the video thumbnail, they are good vibes. So if you haven't watched them yet, I'd say they're totally worth your time. If you have, why not revisit them? Give me your thoughts in the comments. And that's it. I hope you had a good time, and thanks for watching. See you in the next one.